And I love the Italian pasta. So everything is good in Italy. So
no, this is the best. It's like any place you go, it's beautiful.
yeah.
Okay, we are live, I think. So hello, everyone. My name is Lana. That's another No Blah Blah Leadership event. No Blah Blah Leadership, that's a community for leaders in product and tech. That's the events where we discuss topics about actually leadership and also share knowledge and best practices, also get some inspiration from each other. So subscribe to our social channels to stay in touch and get information about our future events. Today we are going to talk about mysterious product ops teams. There's a lot of different opinions, I would say, in the internet about this team, its function, also the role that it plays, and the results that it can bring to organization. So I decided I'm going to invite an expert, a person who actually from her own first-hand experience know what the team is. So she's going to share with us all the secrets. So I want to introduce you to Anabela Cesário. She is a VP of Product VP of Product Operations at OutSystems. Anabela spent almost 20 years building products that customers love, and actually not only building products, but also building teams. Just in her current job at OutSystems, she bootstrapped actually two functions from scratch, the product ownership function and then product operations. I already kind of think we should do the whole series of events with Anabela because she has so much experience with us to share. But today we're going to focus just on product operations. And hi, Anabela, welcome. How do you do?
Hello, I'm fine. Can I call you Lana?
Oh, Lana, of course.
It's easier. Okay, so thank you, Lana, for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be here today, sharing my learnings and my insights about product operations. So when I started 2 years ago, I didn't have a lot of people to talk about. We didn't have a lot of podcasts and communities like this one. So it's really a pleasure to be here and sharing what I've learned.
Yeah, probably now you're invited to different kind of events every week because it's such a hot topic.
It is. And I also, but I really love product operations. So I think it's my thing and I like to talk about it. And I do some pro bono sessions with people that is starting. So I really love it. So it's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Then we are almost ready to start. Organizational topics. Our agenda would be 15-20 minutes presentation, and then we're going to have another 30-35 minutes for Q&A. You can post your questions in the chat here in Zoom or on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Also, if you're in Zoom, you can raise your hand and basically ask your question yourself, or you can just unmute yourself, not raise your hand, and talk to us. Basically, yeah, no rules, and we are ready to start. Anabela, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, today I will talk about how to build product apps from scratch. And I have a question for you, Lana. Do you remember the Super Mario game?
Of course.
Okay, me too. And I used to play Super Mario when I was younger. And I remember that I loved every time that Super Mario eats the flower and he gets superpowers. I really loved that moment. And those moments for me were really, really magic. So in video game design, we call those moments power-ups. And why I'm talking about this is because for me, product operations is a bit like that. Has a lot in common with this type of power-ups in video games. And for us at OutSystems, product ops really, really helped us and empowered us to be much, much better than we were before. And my topic for today is, and my goal is to share with you guys why is that. Okay, Okay, and to start, I would like to start by, I think everything started in March 2020 when a new VP of product came along. It will be my new manager. Back then, I was the director of product management. And I remember in one of our first conversations, he told me, Anabela, we really need to improve the efficiency of our team. And he always talks like this, full of energy. You know, it seems like he has a Duracell battery that it charges during the night. So in the morning, he is always full of energy. But then he continued, we really need to improve the efficiency. What if we start a product operations area? And I was, what? But what is this product operations all about? And I think my first thought was probably it's something related with sales ops, revs ops, but for product, right? And I realized that while I was lost in these thoughts, I needed to understand the reason why, the need behind this. And I asked him, Gonçalo, why do we need product operations? And he told me again, Anabela, we really need to improve the efficiency. You know, OutSystems is in a hypergrowth stage. And to cope with necessary growth, we really need to improve our efficiency. You know, we need to give much more time to PMs so they can be focused on the customer and on the product. Okay, the things that really have impact, and not spending so much time in the office working with tools and processes. Another thing is that we really need to grow the team. We need to onboard much more PMs. And for instance, in my case, I look around and I don't have the product data that I need to make strategic decisions. So can you help me, Anabela, to do this? And okay, so let's do it. And what I did was to start by researching the market. And what I realized was that product ops was and still is a fairly new practice. So, and that every organization designed it to their own needs. And so we did the same. What we have done, we tailored it to the OutSystems way. And what we've created was a concept of product group operations. With the mission to build a foundation for product excellence, where we have my team, product ops, in this side, helping the product managers building the right product. Mainly, we are focused on improving the product manager efficiency and the communication across the company with stakeholders. On the other side, we have engineering ops, much more focused on building the product right. And they are much more focused on improving the efficiency of the engineering machine. And today I will be much more talking about the product management side. And I think I will share our story of the first 2 years. Now, I think how can everything started? I was moving from a product management role to this product operations role. And what I've decided was to treat product operations as my new product. I think I used my product management mindset, and I needed to understand who were my new customers and my new stakeholders. And for that, I started the discovery phase, looking for facts and field. And suddenly, when we look around, okay, our new customer was easy to understand. Okay, it was the product management team, improve their efficiency. Our stakeholders, we had much more than 20 group of stakeholders, from marketing, engineering, legal, sales, all of those areas that we have on a product company, and they represent 90% of the company. And then what we did in 1 month, we interview more than 60 stakeholders. And from the interviews, we raised 76 main concerns. And I must say that some of the complaints, the concerns were really fair. They were things that we need to improve. For instance, we had field teams complaining that they were feeling very distant from product management. They don't understand the roadmap priorities and so on. On the other side, we have things like the startup way of doing things was not working anymore to cope with the hypergrowth phase that we needed. And I can say that at this stage, I realized that the challenge, it was even huger than I thought in the beginning. And I must say that for the first time, I was really, really, really afraid of not being able to address so many concerns, 76 concerns with a team of just 3 people. So I had to be creative. And I remember that back then, I remember sorry?
Good boy.
Oh, I have someone.
I'm gonna mute, sorry.
I think it was a dog.
Yeah, looks like.
Okay, so, and back then I was saying that I remember one thing that I learned from Steve Jobs, and that is the importance of saying no. And I remember, like a little bit a crazy person, to talk with Steve and say, Steve, but I know that it's really important to say no, but how can I say no to such an important stakeholders like the CTO, the CTO, etc. So he didn't give me a right answer, but what we did and solution for us was to create a simple prioritization model that would help us to be focused on the things that move the needle as a way to have impact across the organization. Do you remember the 76 concerns that we raised from the discovery? We started by analyzing them and define common patterns among them. Then, based on the outcomes that we wanted to achieve, we defined 4 prioritization vectors that combined would give us the prioritization score, a little bit like what we do in roadmap prioritization. But in this case, for these main concerns. Our first prioritization vector was communication, the impact that solving that problem, that issue would have on the communication. The second one was frequency. How many times that situation happened in a month. The third one was reach. How many teams were impacted by that issue. And the fourth one was the impact on our product development lifecycle. This combined would give us the prioritization score. And I can tell you that this module was and still is a crucial negotiation tool for us. Because for me and myself, instead of saying a plain no, what we do is to say, and we share with stakeholders, that if you need and you want me to solve your problem, I need to drop another one that has much more impact at the company level. And this is really a simple model that they understand. It's clear what are the priorities, what is the problem. Okay, after this, I had the prioritization, but I missed something. I missed to give a technique to give my team focus and direction. And for that, I use the technique was defining clear focus areas for us, kind of clarifying the scope of my team. So the first focus area that we defined was help the PM function scale. And in here, we included everything that is related with product management efficiency, improving the collaboration and the communication in the beginning, mainly with product marketing and engineering. And we were looking to improve the process and remove inefficiencies. The second focus area was to improve cross-communication. I said, and also from the discovery phase, we realized that the relationship with stakeholders were really, really fragile. So we had to improve on that area. So after a couple of months later, again in 101 with Gonçalo, he asked me, Anabela, do you know the Super Mario game? And I told him, yeah, of course, who doesn't? And he told me, do you know when Super Mario gets the flower, he gets superpowers? Yeah, I do, I love it. And he told me, okay, so for me, product operations is the product manager's flower. He really gives us superpowers. And myself, I can tell you that with your help, I'm doing a much, much better, and I'm having much better job, and I'm having much more impact at the board level. So probably I'm not seeing your faces, but probably I'm wondering, some of you guys are wondering, why does Gonçalo think we are the flower? So let me tell you why and guide you through the two main lessons from the first year. And the first lesson is related with efficiency. Okay, from the discovery phase, we realized that the efficiency of the 60% of the PM main use cases was compromised. And why? By what? By the amount of tools that they had to use on a daily basis. They had to use more than 10 tools, from Salesforce, from Radar, some customer-made tools, from Excel spreadsheets, you name it. We also realized that each PM had their own Excel spreadsheet to manage product and customers' feedback. Our product roadmap prioritization was done in a huge Excel spreadsheet, as well our release management and launch plannings. So probably some of you guys have this reality as well and use Excel spreadsheets, I don't know. For us, the process was really time consuming and very error prone. So what we have done, and the solution for us, was to adopt a centralized product management tool. And this tool works for us as a single source of truth for product information. And mainly what we can address with this tool is we manage all the product feedback from solution architects, engineering, marketing, customers, and so on. We collect, they use the tool to give us feedback. Then we are able to associate the feedback with product initiatives. After, we can prioritize the initiatives using prioritization drivers aligned with the product strategy and company strategy. And also we are able to tailor different roadmap views for each target audience. For instance, we have a roadmap view with a lot of detail and context to give to engineering, a different one for marketing, a much more reduced, for instance, to sales and so on. So this really helped us, and stakeholders love it, especially because now they are able to track their feedback and then they understand the priorities of the roadmap. But the thing they love the most is that they are using the same tool, the PM tool. So they feel that we don't have secrets to them. We don't have secrets, and they really love it. Okay. After 6 months, for us, the impact was really huge. And like Super Mario in the game, we ate our first mushroom and we had our first power-up. The PM team was really amazed by the fact that due to this, their productivity improved by 30%. And why? Because we were able to address 60% of their main use cases on a centralized way. The second lesson for us is more related with communication. And again, from the discovery phase, we realized that the relationship with field stakeholders was really compromised in the beginning of 2020. Okay, they were felt really distant from the PM team. We have a lot of communication channels, a lot of tools. Even roadmap information, releases and launch information was not clear. Sometimes the process was really messy and complex. So the solution for us was to define an end-to-end engagement management process. And what we did was really easy. So we sit down with them and we designed the just enough process that helped us to address all the issues that we had on the inbound and on the outbound communication. And I think the game-changing event in our case was the communication cadence. Okay, what we have done, we have defined the quarterly calendar. You can see a communication cadence like a simple calendar where we have all the meetings and the the interactions that we have with them. So it's easy for them to understand when they will talk with PM and to whom they will talk, and especially what is the scope and the goal of each session. So this really, really helped us a lot. So in Q4 2020, again, we acquire a new power. And this time, the stakeholders were really recognizing our value and promoting our value as well. We ended up the year with a customer satisfaction score of 86%. Stakeholders now, they feel they are much more involved in product roadmap discussions. They have more discussion, they work with PM on more strategic topics like product vision, company vision, and strategy, and so on. So, like Super Mario in the game, we felt that we were also growing. And for me, I think I was seeing that each quarter we were moving one level up. So by the end of 2020, we were stronger. We had the PM team and stakeholders recognizing our value. And on the other side, we were the VP of product flower. So for me, it was clear, okay, we have laid the foundations and now it was time to grow the function. And based on the findings from the discovery phase, our third focus area was that we defined was develop product management skills. From the discovery, we realized that we had a lot of PMs that were in the company since the beginning. So they had this startup way of doing product management, and they really need to acquire new techniques and develop skills to cope with hypergrowth. So for that, we have launched an internal B2B product management academy, an in-house learning program that was designed to help them to fill the gaps that they had on their skills as a product manager. And we brought a couple of product gurus that tailored the training to our needs. And the academy for us, up until now, is a success. It's also an important tool for us because not only help us to develop talent, but also to retain, because PM, they understand that we are investing on their career, but also it's a tool that we use to attract talent from the community. Okay, so this time we had another power up, okay? This time it was the product manager, they were recognizing the value of the academy. Okay, so they evaluate the academy in the first year with a return of time invested of 4.5 in 5. Okay, this means that they are seeing value and they are considering the time that they spend on the trainings. It has a huge impact on their, and a positive impact on their work. So our fourth focus area was, and still is, right, deliver business objectives. And in this case, we are assisting the CPO on everything that is related with strategy definition, deployment, and monitoring. And we started this last quarter, Q4 last year, lost in the years. And it has been a huge challenge for us. Because first, it's really, as you guys know, it's really to define a proper product strategy, but it's even also more difficult to get buy-in from different stakeholders across the company. And when you do that, the second step is to deploy it across the company. And it's also difficult because you need to tailor your narrative, your product strategy narrative to each different type of audience. So we need to create a narrative for engineering, marketing, field, and so on, all of this. And in order to help on this deployment process, we have started this quarter a product QBR, where we do kind of, we share with the company stakeholders the strategy. And now in the next quarter, we will be more focused on the monitoring. what we call the monitoring that represents the way we are measuring through product data the execution of our strategy. So for this one, I don't have metrics so far. I don't have data, but we have already defined this metric that we will use, that is strategy understanding. And the way we are using this is kind of the percentage of people inside the product group, the product management and engineering, that they understand the strategy and they are also able to use it on a daily basis to make product decisions. 2 years after, we are here and we started to play a much, much more advanced game. Okay, so this time the things are different. This time was the CPO that gave us a new power, a new flower, and that is the chief of staff role. So this year, since the beginning of the year, we are now helping him and assisting him on everything that is related with team strategy, from org design, team engagement, and morale. We also own the budget and the resources allocation process. And I can represent the CPO on his absences. So this gives us much, much more powers. And the combination of these two roles are really helping us and making us move faster towards a high performance team and also a high trust one. Okay. Before I leave you, I have one last thing to share with you. So it all comes down to focus on impact. Okay. My suggestion for you is focus on the things that really allow you to power up. In Super Mario game language, this means eat all the mushrooms. In real life language, this means focus on the things that really move the needle and that have a huge impact at the company level. So, are you ready to do this? To be focused on impact?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
What I have for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I love this analogy with Super Mario. It really reminds me about old good days. I already see some questions coming from YouTube chat. Guys here, if you would like to ask questions, raise your hand or just put it in the chat. I actually have one question. If I'm like a head of product in the organization and I'm just thinking, do I need a product ops or not? What are the key signals or signs that if I see them, I say, okay, I think I need to start building the product ops function?
Okay, assuming in the same context that I'm using, I'm working with product management, right? Product ops, because you have different designs. You have product ops that works on engineering and product management, but focus on the product management.
Yeah.
Okay, the signs is that you start seeing a lot of inefficiencies. For instance, people doing repeated stuff, people struggling with doing things like managing customer feedback or roadmap prioritization. Every time that you see something imagine that you have a team of 10 people and they spend a lot of time doing one thing, and that if you standardize something or help them, and imagine if they can spend 1 hour doing that, 1 hour, combined, okay, share it by 10 people, it will be 10 hours. Probably can have one person doing that in 1 or 2 hours. So you need to look to things that really are bringing inefficiencies and make a lot of people spend time.
And is there like any sizes of organization, starting from which it makes sense to divide this as a separate function, or it really depends on? I don't
use, usually there are people that use ratios, for instance, number of product ops people that can support X amount of PMs. I don't do that. Usually I look at the problems that we need to solve. So basically, I think my suggestion would be talk with your stakeholders, understand the main problems. And if you really have problems and if you have people that could work with you, or if you have people that, for instance, are able to help you, to give you one FTE, one person to help you or not. So look at it and invest on solving the problems and not, I don't have a special ratio.
I see. Yeah, I think it makes sense and really aligned with your message in the end of the presentation to focus on impact rather than some like formulas and stuff. Talking about impact, the question from Evan, you mentioned that with one of the initiatives you had a 30% increase in productivity. How did you measure this productivity increase?
Okay, so what we have from the interview, we select the 10 things where they spend more time. One example, each PM had their own Excel spreadsheet where they registered the feedback, they had to prioritize, manage it, and so on. So we select the 10 main use cases. Then we analyzed, or we measure how many time they spent on those use cases. Imagine average in a week you spend 2 hours managing your customer feedback, or 4 hours, and then we measure the process 6 months after, and we had a reduction of 30% on the time they spent doing the same activities.
Understood. And for tracking this time, do you use any system, or you specifically track?
No, it was kind of, no, we didn't use, we kind of, we told them, okay, how many time do you use now, and previously and now?
Understood. Makes sense.
I have, and also, for instance, in the beginning, I had 3 product operations managers. Now, today we are 8. Yeah. So a lot of work, for instance, regarding communication, I have one person in my team that prepares all the roadmap decks and handles all the logistics with all the stakeholders. So this time we also reduce them. So the percentage comes from the amount of time that we reduce and the free in their agenda, so they could be focused on the product and on the customer.
Understood. Another question actually also related to metrics from the chat in YouTube. Is there any key metrics that product operations always look at? Because you mentioned that there are like metrics for specific initiatives, but is there overall, like in product, it's like usually conversion, right? Revenue. Is there something similar to product ops?
We are preparing Unwrapped. We will have, my team has a Product Unwrapped talk series, and on the 9th of June, we will have a talk about product operations metrics. And I will talk about, and my team, about all the metrics that we are measuring. For instance, from NPS, employee NPS on the NPS engagement score, from customer satisfaction on the communication. So if you guys want to attend, feel free, because I will share. We have kind of our product manager journey from the hiring process until they put the first initiative on production. So we measure we have key metrics along the way of the journey.
I see. Well, I assume for the people from YouTube, subscribe to Anabela and wait for the announcement. I see another question on the chat here. I think you can also read it. What are the main challenges you face today with product ops, and how could they be improved?
Okay, you face today. Today is the part that I told you is this strategy. We are trying to do really strategy, serious work on deploying, definition. And it's really, really, really difficult because especially the buy-in, it's really difficult at the C-level to align the CPO, the CEO, the CTO, all of them, and they are constantly changing ideas, and it's really, really, really to align them. On the product management side, I think I can share with you that I grew from 3 to 8 in 2 years. I think it's a good ratio. And mainly was because the secret was because of the operating model. So because we are focused on the things that have huge impact, sometimes, or the majority of the times, I have someone that is kind of a sponsor. If I'm solving, for instance, a problem in product marketing, I'm helping. So the CMO, it's my sponsor or the team. So I don't have that kind of problems that some companies have to justify the need of product operations, justify the budget. I don't have that type of problems. My main challenge comes from the problem that I'm trying to solve. In this case, like deploying the strategy, all of that work.
I understand. There's a question from the chat as well, which I think already you answered at least partially on this. How can I better sell the business results and the ops team to the organization? And I think like what you just mentioned, to have a sponsor in an executive team, it's already half win, I would say. Is there any other tips or like best practices to help in this journey?
My suggestion would be understand what are your key stakeholders, talk with them, and start doing kind of in the beginning I use the technique of the proof of concept. Of concept in everything that I do. I identify the problem. I select a group of 3 or 4 champions where I can test some solution, and then I focus my team on solving that problem very quick, so I can have something to show very, very quick. And then when things work well or not, you learn from the process, and if things go well, you deploy it to more people. But then the champions will promote your work. So, and understand the problem, do a POC with some key strategic people, and then deploy it. Don't do it once everything full rollout in one time only rollout.
I understood. Guys, if you have more questions, post them there. I'm going to continue with one that like really bothers me. Again, I'm imagining myself being like this product lead or head of product in some organization. And at some point I realized, okay, looks like I probably would benefit from product ops role and product ops function team. What is the best way to start? Is it better to, like in your case, to take some person within the organization and appoint them on this function, or to hire from scratch? What would be your suggestions?
Depending on dimension of the company, I would say that if you have in your company the person with the right skills, and for me the right skills basically is empathy for your customer, the ability to listen to your customer, understand the needs. And then the second one is the ability to make things happen. If you have someone in your company that has these 2 skills and knows the business and the product, I think it's the best option. If you don't have that, you look for a SME on the market, someone that could not have your information about your business and your company, but knows the role of product operations, I think. In our case, and I think it's not mandatory, but it helps, someone that knows the product management practice and dynamics also helps, because you are working with PMs, and if you know the problems, you know the function, helps a little bit, but it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory.
And if at some point you need to hire a product operations person, there's probably, and it's still quite a new role, so I assume maybe there's not that many candidates. What, like, if the candidate doesn't have product ops experience, what experience the person should have, or what skills the person should have to be like, so you can hire her and him on the like an entry level role?
As I will repeat a little bit, but I really believe is kind of a communication skills, mainly empathy, also make things happen, the ability to identify a solution and make it happen. And I think stakeholders management. I think in the end, is everything related with talking with people, solving people problems, and engage with people. So I think it's much more the empathy. I think it's I think these are the main skills that I look for. But again, so you need, I can add something. You need to have someone with experience. Okay, someone that is able to say no. Okay, my team, I have different people with different experience levels. I have more junior people with things that are more related with tools and improve the tools, and we have some confidentiality rules about product information. So I have someone that handles all the security part of the tools and access and so on. I have someone with more experience and knows the product, and he is able to do roadmap sessions to all stakeholders. This helps a lot. And then for instance, in my case, I have someone that is focused on leading our B2B product management academy. I have a program manager that helps us to manage cross-company programs. Usually there are programs related with go-to-market of big launches, for instance. I have one guy that it's kind of a product strategist that helps the CPO on that track that I told you about, the strategy definition, deployment. So then I look people based on the problem that I need to solve. I have a talent problem. I hired someone to help me launch the product management academy. So in my case, everything depends on the challenge that I need to face.
It's super custom.
Yeah. Also, just to give you context, also something that really helps us, based on the operating model, I define quarterly goals for them. And each one of them has a focus or a specialty, if you may so, but they know that one quarter they could be solving one problem, and the other quarter they need to go and help on the other one. So the team is flexible, and we are targeting each quarter the main problem. I don't manage, again, focus on impact, on priorities, and not on skills and competencies. So imagine that we have a huge problem related to, I don't know, we need to revamp completely our way of doing roadmap, I don't know. And if I need the whole team to help that quarter on solving that issue, I mobilize them on that direction. So it's, again, focus on solving problems is the main.
Always a solution. Yeah, you kind of answered already my questions, like either like different skills inside the product operations team. And what about the growth path for team members, specifically for the product ops? As product ops growing into product managers can grow into product ops. How does it work? How do you define levels, promotions?
For me, there are two different career tracks at our company. It's much more easier for a product manager moves to a product ops role, because for sure he has the skills, than the other way around. To be a product manager, you need to have certain skills that you don't need to have to be a product ops person. So I'm not telling you that is impossible to do, but it's not easy to move from a product ops to a product management. If you have a person with high potential and has the right skills, you can. We are thinking on launching a APM program the end of this year. That is, I think, that is a program that Marty Kagan and Melissa Perry, they defend. It's kind of a way to train talent. And then you bring SM subject matter experts from your company or from outside. They don't need to have really huge experience in product manager, but you train them to be product manager. But they need to have the potential to be a product manager. So I don't know if I answered your question.
No, absolutely. I think that that makes perfect sense. And for product ops team, there any resources you can recommend for them to learn more? Like, how do they grow? Like, what is their career trajectory might look like?
Okay, at OutSystems we have kind of what we call development plan, and we have quarter feedback feedback loops. So what we do, and when I'm developing their talent, I'm not 100% focused on the career, because at OutSystems we can experiment different roles across the company. Yeah. So what I do, I identify the gaps and I train them and I define a training path or a development plan, focus on improving their skills and not specifically on the role A, B, or C. So and it will depend. For instance, the person that I have leading the academy, she will never be a PM. So I need to develop her to help her to develop, for instance, to be a good program manager or to be something like that. So each one
learning and developing.
I have a program manager that needs to be developed in the program management career path, so not on the product management side.
Wow, that feels like also a lot of dedication from your side to basically have such a custom approach for each team member.
Yeah, it does, but it pays off. So because I invest on them, I help them grow, but they also help me grow. So for instance, I was promoted, I was invited to become chief of staff. So this only is possible because I have my team that knows
take some of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and that's for me. And I really like to develop talent, to train people. In the end of the day, I like to work with people, for people, to help them grow. So for me, it's really, I like it. So
yeah, that's interesting, because like many things that you tell about product ops is like really about taking the people needs and helping them. So I think it's really like aligned with the profile that you're sharing for you and for your team.
Yeah, and let me just add you something that also, for instance, like a PM, we are always concerned about adoption. As a PM, you are concerned about the adoption of your product.
Yeah.
In product operations, my team needs also to be focused on the adoption of everything that we do. And it could be adoption of the academy. We have the ROTI metric for that, the adoption of the communication process. So we also think that's why, again, we need to ensure that we are solving the problem. And if people don't adopt what we are doing, it's because we are not making a good work, right? A good job.
Yeah.
And they are not adopting it. So also adopting is a tool that we use to measure our success.
Yeah, I would be so interested to look this talk that you mentioned about metrics to learn more about this.
I can share that. I told about Gonzalo. I really like to work with him, but sometimes, imagine, usually I don't. I solve problems. I don't give them problem. But I remember one or twice I told you, "Oh, okay, but this is not working that well," and he told me, is not working, is because you are not doing a good job. Because if you are not having adoption, find the problem and solve the problem. And that's the way of thinking. So
interesting.
Adoption is also really important for us.
Yeah, for product, like for product management, it's also such a key metric. A couple of last questions that I had, and one I think is super important because if you, like, I imagine in the organization, if you have a team who is basically talking to people problems and solve it, I assume everyone starts to come to you and ask to solve their problems. So what are the functions or what kind of work that is definitely not part of product operations? And did you have situations when you had to defend the boundaries of and the scope of your team from the outside?
Yeah. Okay. So the first decision, and it was since the beginning, I assumed that my team never ever makes product decisions. Mm-hmm. I was a PM. I know the product. I'm able to make product decisions. When I'm even when I'm representing the CPO, I tend to avoid product decisions. But I could do it as a chief of staff, but not as a product ops person. I have one person in my team that really knows the product. So the first decision was product ops never makes product decisions. So this helps a lot to clarify the boundaries between product ops and product managers.
Product decisions, you mean decisions about the functioning of the actual product?
No, imagine prioritize initiatives. One, okay, this initiative is more important than the other one, or should we sunset this product or something? So really product decisions. So, or should we launch this in 2 weeks or in 2 months? So this kind of product manager's decision. So we don't do that. Then I tend to clarify, because I have my pillars, the ones that are the focus areas, so people kind of understand what we do. And whenever they ask us things that are not related with our scope, we can also use the operating model to say no, or is something that is clearly out of our scope, or in the case that we have gray areas, we use the operating model and we say, okay, we are not doing this because this is not priority. So it really helps us, the operating model. So.
I understand. And also, like, when you shared your prioritization technique, first of all, how long did it take you to actually to do the prioritization? There was like 76.
Yeah, it was. I can say that the thing that it was something to someone make me a question. The main challenge for me was, I think it was during the first 3 months, from the interviews, process everything, and then think how I would prioritize and find a prioritization model that was clear for people to understand, was my most difficult period on product operations. And when I defined the operating model, it was kind of, oh, this is the solution.
Yeah.
And after that, it was things were really, really easier. Do not everything easier, but the thing that
you remove the uncertainties and
yeah.
Understood. And with with this impact prioritization, different stakeholders might have different opinions, or like, this is important, this is not important. How do you navigate this?
I use the pillars. For instance, imagine I have that for prioritization drivers, and each driver. Okay, I have a formula, but basically is that in the beginning, improved communication has had more importance than the other ones. So it's like, for instance, imagine in the beginning, communication had 3 times more importance than the other ones. So whenever I'm prioritized, I'm kind of optimized for the direction. And back then, the direction was improve communication. And then I can explain to people, okay, so this is really important. We have people that are not being able to work with us, for instance, and then I use the number of teams impacted. For instance, it's easy. If you have a problem that affects all the field teams, you have probably 1,000 people involved. If you have a small team, you have 5 people. So it's easy to explain. And imagine the same, you have a problem that happens twice a month, or that happens every day during a month. So this kind of help you to prioritize, and it's easy to explain. So people understand really, really quick.
Understood. Thank you so much for giving such a nice, super concrete and practical details. I love this conversation so much because it's really based on 100% on the experience, and everything is so hands-on. But the last question that I have is actually a bit philosophical. How do you see in general this function evolve? In 5 years, every company is going to have product ops. Is it going to be further specialization inside of it? How is it going to be?
I think it will evolve. I think my team is always receiving kind of job offers. So people are kind of, they want to come work with us. And so of course, I think I'm seeing a raise on looking for product ops talent. I think companies, especially medium to large companies, for sure will need product operations. They realize when companies that are moving from a startup to bigger in a hypergrowth stage, for sure they need product operations. So I'm seeing product operations scaling and evolving for sure. I don't know the name in 5 years would be the same, product operations, but the functions and the need, I think they will tend to evolve. Because they really imagine you are a product manager, right? Imagine all the things that you need to do alone that someone could remove from you. So it's kind for you to be more focused on the customer, on the product, having much more interviews with customers, and product ops allows you a lot of that stuff. And even if you need to, I never had the need to do the math, but for instance, in a team we are 30 product managers more or less at OutSystems nowadays. So 30 plus 3 or 4 weeks of inefficiency justify to have 1 or 2 product managers completely. And I think the CPOs, mainly the CPOs, are paying a lot of attention about product ops. I talk with a lot of them. I did CPO's accelerator training with Melissa Perry. I don't know if you know it.
Yes.
Really, CPOs are looking at product operation as the next thing to invest, for sure.
Okay, so if you're a CPO, please adopt this amazing thinking, because it feels like it brings a lot of beneficial things to the company. Let me just quickly check. I think we went through all the questions in chats as well, and the time is up, so we are so perfect on timing. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, and it was such a pleasure to chat with you. I hope to see you again with more conversations about any other aspects of leadership. It looks like you have so much of experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invite. And I will announce the Unwrapped about product ops metrics, because we had one about product metrics. And now the community asks us also, what about product operations? What are the metrics? So if you like the topic, you can. I would
definitely come and share with the network, because that's metrics. I always like to talk about this because that makes things concrete, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Have a good evening and
nice. Bye.
Bye.